I don't really have anybody to put on the pucks on that banned list this year, or sorry, this week. But we probably
can't
should
think
talk.
of anyone.
I don't
Really?
know.
Like,
Perhaps a local.
yeah,
Who's
it's pretty
had
low
multiple
hanging
chances.
fruit. I mean, everybody who gets banned is getting on the Olympic team.
Yeah, Evander Kane did another thing to go against AHL or NHL COVID protocol.
AHL.
Yeah.
Like, how many other leagues are left for him to break protocol for?
Evander Kane has broken ECHL COVID protocol. He didn't wear a mask for 5 minutes. His contract was terminated. The messy legal work of what's the word I'm looking for here? A grievance. I don't have my
the NHLPA has filed a grievance.
Yes, which in a union standpoint, yes, you naturally file a grievance there. Basically what we've learned is that he got put on the COVID protocol list on December 22nd.
Okay.
He flew to Vancouver for Christmas. Nobody knows if he actually got into Vancouver.
He flew to Vancouver and then they're not sure if he got accepted in.
Yeah, like there's nobody could really find out if he made it or if he was turned away.
Oh, okay.
And like with Brock Besser, he can drive over the border, but he can't fly over the border. But then he was supposed to rejoin the team on the 31st.
Okay.
He didn't show up till the 6th. And he's missed a bunch of practices with the Barracuda where he's like, oh, I got food poisoning, which is the best lie when you're a deadbeat because you can get away with it. Or he's like, oh, my shoulder was sore or something. So his commitment wasn't there and he got bought out. And half the Sharks team was already like, can you find a way for us not to play with him next year? And I guess they found their way. He's been a lot of bad publicity for the NHL. So I feel like they were quick to approve the contract termination.
Yeah.
So it's going to be messy and annoying. But what is even more annoying is that Darren Dreger tonight was like, yeah, there's a shitload of teams that want to sign Evander Kane and he'll have a contract by the end of the week.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because this is the one of the very few times where I can look at a person of color or an athlete of color and not have a tremendous amount of sympathy for them. And where you can't fix stupid.
No.
You just can't. You can't fix.
It has nothing to do with color.
Yeah.
He's just, I think we've tried to
be sensitive.
Be sensitive, be as fair. We've talked about him on numerous occasions, but he lacks a certain amount of intelligence. This is a guy who's probably just that entitled. Like that's it. His privilege is showing. Yeah. And he's an asshole.
Yeah. I think that's kind of the perfect way to describe it is like, he's just an asshole.
He's had every opportunity handed to him.
Yeah. And he's going to get another one because he wants to go to a contender. So he's going to go to he's going to go to Carolina Hurricanes, or he's going to go to somebody on the cheap and get that Antonio Brown opportunity.
Yeah, the Antonio Brown opportunity is a very adequate way of describing it.
Yeah.
Rod Brindamore is going to be like, get out on the power play. And he's going to be like, no, coach, I ain't going out. He's like, get out. And then you're just going to see Evander Kane like take off his jersey and stuff and just start like going into the crowd.
Listen, Evander Kane's really tough and a hell of an athlete, but Rod Brendamore's Rod the Bod.
Yeah, Rod's not going to put up with that shit.
And he's just like, forget about Evander Kane taking his shirt off to protest. Rod's going to take his tarp off. I'm like, I guess we're fighting on the bench now. Let's go.
He like takes off. Rod Brindamore takes off his shirt and he's like, so what do you want to do? What do you want to do, pal? Yeah. Just that's what's gonna happen. It's a fucking shame.
Yeah, it's he's an entitled prick. We were more than stoked and supportive when he really he joined the Hockey Diversity Alliance and was speaking quite openly and candidly and impassioned about his journey and the struggles he went through. But at the end of the day, he's not been a good teammate and he's not been a good person. And you talk about people on Team Canada's watch list with problems with the law and a hell of a track record. Go to Evander Kane's Wikipedia and look at the settlements there, because by all accounts, I don't think he's a very good person.
I think it's looking back on it, it's like I his personal issues, that's one thing that I'm gonna give just a little credence to, and where we don't know exactly personally in his life what he's going through, mental health stuff, whatever.
Mhm.
It's the acts of, I think the last acts of like just strictly like forging
Yep.
a vaccination card. It's like, you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what the thing you're doing is totally wrong. And this isn't just you having an argument with your wife or or someone in your life that is toxic, and then your reaction to them or whatever you think it might be. Like, in what situation is forging a vaccination document a good idea in society? It's not. There's no counterpoint to it. And then you go and you get COVID, and instead of 10 days you do 7 or whatever, and you go and you try and get to Vancouver, and then you say you have food poisoning. It's like, dude, you're on the like you file for bankruptcy for what was it, 23 million. You have 22 left on your contract, so that's what essentially is going to be done, is that you're paying off your bankruptcy stuff with your contract.
You still you file for bankruptcy, you still are somehow have enough luck that if you just behave yourself for your contract and
You'll
be
be
a
fine.
good person, you will be fine. But you still are so entitled and find a way to screw it up. And a perfect reason to put him on the old pucks on a ban list this week is because he's going to go to a team. He's going to go to a contender, and he's going to have a playoff run, and he's going to play well. And you're going to hear the same bullshit narrative where it's like, just needed to change the scenery. Just needed to go to a proper good culture where
that's the sorry, Ryan, but see, that's the crazy thing is that he went to San Jose, and San Jose is the one team that has taken in terms of like culture, is the one team that's like accepting of other lifestyles or other ways of doing things. Like when it comes to Brent Burns, when it comes to Joe Thornton, these types of players. It's like you went to the one team. Like Joe Thornton picks you up from the airport.
You got to wonder
sorry.
Like, at the end of the day, like, okay, he's gonna go, and some team is gonna take a slight PR hit because they've seen, oh well, the Tony D'Angelo backlash wore off or whatever, and if they can do it there, we can do it here. And it's like, he's gonna go to an American team where the media is not going to be as big. There's going to be a week or so of Canadian news outlets decrying and talking about it, and then we're just not going to talk about it.
Well, the thing they keep saying repeatedly about him every time he goes to a new team, like every time he's in that gray area before he goes to a new team, is that he cannot go to like a young, youthful team with a fragile core. He needs to go to an established dressing room with some strong leadership personalities in it. And San Jose was the example of that. Like, that was the perfect example, because he couldn't overpower the personalities in that room. Where does he go now? To Florida? To like back into like Joe Thornton's lap again? Like, is anything going to make him better?
You got to wonder if he drove some of those. I mean, Thornton isn't in San Jose anymore. Patrick Marleau's not in San Jose anymore. Joe Pavelski not in San Jose anymore. You got to wonder if maybe they got tired of having to have that role of like, oh, you have big personalities, you can look after this guy. I'm just blowing up my ass here, but like, no, all the big personalities that were there that he was gonna just blend in with the rest of them. They hightailed it out of there, and the guys that were below him, they didn't want to play with him. But he's he's on the bench.
No, he can't go to a Vancouver. No, he cannot go to Edmonton, which is probably the most fragile of dressing rooms.
Oh my God. Like, if that happens, holy shit.
And Ken Holland, it's already out there that Edmonton's one of the teams inquiring.
Oh my God.
So I mean, they're shooting themselves in both foots every day there.
You know what is funny is that if he does go to Edmonton, I think the one thing they can take solace in is like
McDavid will leave.
Well, yeah. Oh my God. I talked to someone on Twitter. I'm like, the day where McDavid does the I want to move thing.
I told Leon I wouldn't do this.
I told Leon I wouldn't do this. I will not get off social media.
I will every opportunity.
I will have Twitter on like 4 different things and just see like a live feed. I'll do hashtag Edmonton, hashtag McDavid. I'm just like see people like lose their fucking mind. The one benefit I think of, I mean, him going to Edmonton is like, is he really going to get into fucking trouble in Edmonton?
Yeah.
Okay.
White Ave, baby.
I've only been to Edmonton once.
And Buffalo.
Oh,
he gets in trouble everywhere he goes. San
Jose
is not a happening town.
All right. I'll take my L. Okay. Obviously, I didn't give enough credit to the city of Edmonton. You're more than you're more than a mall.
He could, but his fake passport would be accepted. Probably.
Evander Kane, you're on the banned list, and I hope you get bounced in the first round, or all of this is just your agent pumping a bunch of journalists, sports broadcasters full of meaningless info to try and drive up the price, and you go to the KHL and you play with Redacted from Abbotsford, who has 1 assist and 13 games played, and you guys can try and play for the Olympics if that ever happens.
You gotta love it.